Segment 2, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, and we're welcoming back somebody who's been a guest on here, several years ago. She is a famous author. Her first book, How In-Laws Relate, got her a plum position on Oprah Winfrey Show for 3 different times, not to mention CNN and some other good stuff. And afterwards came Don't Call Me Mom. And now, with her third book, In-Laws, It's All Relative, which is co-authored by Rabbi Abraham Twersky. It is my pleasure to introduce you to...
Psychiatrist.
A psychiatrist, sorry about that.
MD psychiatrist.
It is my pleasure to introduce you to our famous West Rogers Park author, Leah Averick. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Good evening, good afternoon.
Yeah. So tell us about the new book.
Okay, well, the new book, co-authored with a psychiatrist, gives me more prestige than I ever had, even on being on Oprah. He enhances the book, but there's no but. He adds things that I would never have thought of adding. He gives people the benefit of the doubt, which I hadn't, but which I've learned that as an author and as a researcher, that I must give credit to the older person. Not credit, responsibility to the older parent-in-law. Are you going to ask me why I wrote the book?
Why did you write the book?
I wrote the book because I was at a loss. I did not know how to behave as an in-law. And I couldn't admit this 20 years ago in the first edition. Mm-hmm. I could not admit that I did not know what to do. Instead, I said, I want to help somebody. I want to help this person. But I really wanted to help myself. And so I began this original research. It was a seminal book. No other books had been written on the subject. And I have helped myself. I've learned that I'm not the only one who has in-law tensions. So, and I've also learned one in-law joke. Can I tell it to you?
Absolutely.
Only one joke. Audience, please forgive me. How do you deal with in-laws? You buy a house by the river and you ask them to drop in. Good, thank you.
Very good.
Okay, now, let's hear. I know how many in-laws you have. You have a lot of in-laws. Nieces-in-law, right?
Well, things like that. Yeah, tons of them.
Yeah. And how do you deal with them? And how do you find coping with your nieces-in-law and sisters-in-law and brothers?
Well, actually, I try to smile, be friendly, and I try to generally ignore anything negative as much as I possibly can, unless they beat me over the head with it.
Okay, all right, good. So you're following the rules.
Well, also being as large as I am, they're a little bit afraid of me, so that helps.
And I hope your checkbook is open, and
yeah,
that
right.
helps too.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of zeros there. I just wish there were numbers in front of the zeros.
Maybe there will be. Maybe when you hit the big Fox News, maybe they'll start paying you.
I'm not going to worry about that.
Anyway, we in-laws, I just want to emphasize, in-laws are a strain initially.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, what else must I tell you? There are rules about in-laws that I did not know about when I began my research. Some of the rules one of the rules are the following. In-laws, that is the parents-in-law and the parents-in-law, that is, no longer have the same rights they had as parents. They don't have the right to say, go upstairs and take a shower, or go set the table, or clean the gutters. And this is one of the hardest things for parents-in-law to learn. You don't have the same rights you had before. That's seems like a simple thing to say, but hard to implement. And then there's another rule about in-laws that I learned. For instance, parents-in-law, well, I wrote what I call is the parental, I term what I call the parental law of inertia. The parental law of inertia means parents continue doing the same thing they did when they were parents. You know, as a little child, Avi, come on, it's time to go to bed. Avi, clean up the house. Avi, help mommy. You don't have that privilege anymore. You are no longer number one in your child's life. that is to give orders.
Yeah.
There's a new number one in their life, and this is what some parents find hurtful.
Yeah.
I'm no longer, I've heard that over and over again, I'm no longer number one in my son's life, or no longer number one. She doesn't call me like she used to. So this is another new phase to adapt to. Then there are other tensions. I think that in every culture, before I did the book with Dr. Tursky, I researched, by researching means I interviewed people from every culture, from the Irish American to the Italian American to the Armenian American to the Assyrian American to the Swedish American, and I found universals. And these universals, let me give you some examples of universal in-law tensions. Everybody has a difficulty. What am I going to call the in-laws? What do you call them? Do I call them mama, papa? They're not my mama, they're not my papa, so that's very awkward. It's not, perhaps it doesn't appeal, I mean, it doesn't worry you, but they'll say Uncle Avi to you, right?
Right, yeah, and then that's fine by me. Yeah, certain things would irritate me, I can imagine, that's for sure.
Yeah, but what to call the in-laws is how can, that's not my mom and papa, how can I call them mom and papa? Or how can I call them mom and dad? Now, I want to spend just one moment on,
We've only got a minute. So.
Oh, another minute? You mean we're finished with 7.5 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. All right. I want to tell you why it's so difficult to call somebody else mommy or daddy.
Yeah.
The words mommy or daddy are the most precious words in any language. So if you call, people feel disloyal to call you mommy when you're not my mommy. They feel disloyal to call you papa. You're not my papa. You're not my daddy. So that's where one of the tensions comes from. How to decide what to call someone else. Okay, well, I hope you'll invite me back again.
No, absolutely. You are more than invited back. And I want to point out to people in the audience, Mrs. Leah Averick, author of In-Laws, It's All Relative, with Rabbi Abraham J. Tversky, Dr. Psychiatrist. And before I cut out all the time and need to run, I also want to say that somewhere in the past, you actually took me to Lunchtime Little Theater, and thank you.
Oh, when you were a little boy.
Right.
And you found me my first publisher.
And
so I'm indebted to you for that.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, well, now Marty gets 6.5 minutes.
Okay. Okay, right.
7:54.